it feels like I'm live on YouTube. What's up? It's Jim. Happy New Year. We did it. Inner Solutions is back. 2021. And what a year it has been so far. Now, if you're tuning into this, you are quick on the draw because we're not even live on Facebook yet. And that's incredible. And I don't even know if we're live on YouTube yet. So I got to make sure everything's working properly. There we go. We are live. Now, as you notice, my good friend and mentor, Ennis, is not here. Why? I didn't really let him know we were doing it today. We didn't talk about it. So I just decided I'm going to go live. I'm going to get this year kicked off. And, you know, we've been on hiatus since before Christmas. And I'm just happy to say we're back, babies. We're back. We are back to make 2021 the best year of our lives, the best year of the business's lives, and hopefully the best year, assist in your journey in making this year the best year of your lives. Let me update this. But first of all, feel free to give us a check-in. We are not live on Facebook yet, so I'm just going to get warmed up, put the correct title on the video, and mental health Q&A. And what we're going to do, if you're tuning in now, is you can start to get those questions, stories, comments. You know, we've been away for a few weeks and want to know how everything was for your holidays. Did you check out the holiday anxiety videos? Were they helpful for you? What did you do? What did you do to make everything work? How were your holidays? All right, so we're updated here on YouTube. So let's go back to the video. And if you want to start sharing on YouTube, your stories, questions, comments, concerns, go ahead. We'll be checking back and forth in. You can just leave your questions in the comments section. Hey, everyone. How are you? And, dude, I honestly haven't even told Ennis that I'm doing this tonight. Maybe I should text him real quick and say, hey, by the way, Ennis, hey, I'm doing the live stream. It's been it's been a hell of a roller coaster, to be completely frank and honest with you. Man, I went through some wild stuff during this break, so we're gonna go live on Facebook here. Shabam. And are we going? What's going on? Welcome. We did it. What's up? It's me, Solo. A solo gym show? Where's Ennis? Is he okay? He is okay. We are getting this year back off, going on the right foot, which means a couple things. Number one, the holidays, at least this season of the holidays, is over. I hope you guys got a chance to watch the YouTube videos that we posted about holiday anxiety so that you were able to maximize the joy of the holidays in this potentially strange time. And what does that mean? Well, it means this is a weird year, man. This is a weird year as far as people being lonely, as far as being kind of overwhelmed with anxiety. There's a lot of people, a lot of clients, a lot of ex-clients, things like that, that are really having a hard time, really struggling. And I don't know that it's all due to COVID or, you know, just having a weird holiday and whatnot. But what I do know is that we're back to hopefully assist you on your journey of feeling better, of working through your anxiety, of figuring out what's going on with your depression. We are Inner Solutions. My name is Jim. I'm one half of the company working as a mental health coach to support those from somebody like me who knows what it's like to struggle with anxiety and other mental health ailments. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. So glad you're here. The way we do this live stream is feel free to post your questions, comments, concerns, anything mental health related going on with you, even just a check-in with how your heart is doing. It's been about 3 weeks, which for us, that was the first time we haven't done a live stream since we started it back in, I want to say, May, June, maybe even earlier than that. So honestly, it was weird not to do it. It was weird to kind of feel disconnected from our beautiful and loyal audience. And I'm just so grateful to be back. Now, I did not talk to Ennis. We were going to take this week off. What's up, Marilee? Oh my gosh, Marilee, thank you so much. This is not an inflation of our ego, but positive feedback is always welcome. Thank you so much. And Marilee, give us a check-in. How are you doing? Guys, I know I missed you guys too. I know Ennis misses you guys too. Both of us personally went through some stuff during this break that was tough. Yeah, tough on us. And we both were kind of tested, and it was really beautiful to have Ennis to support me and for me to feel like I could support him at the same time. But we're back at it. So guys, first order of business, please give us a good check-in on how were your holidays? How did everything go? Did you find a way to enjoy them? Was it really tough being, a little more lonely than usual? For me, I made a conscious effort to fill the time. And so I did some kind of extra special stuff on my own, which included something like I did a 12-hour stream on a different platform where I was cooking and singing and doing a lot of fun stuff. And that really filled up Christmas Eve. And then luckily I was able to spend Christmas with my girlfriend. And that was a huge treat. Absolutely huge treat. Yeah. Wonderful. Had a very painful Christmas, but connected with Donna last week. Mindful, effective. Connected with Donna last week. I'm not sure what that means. Am I missing something? Connected with Donna, what does that mean? Help me understand. We had some really trying times, man. And tonight, we weren't planning on doing the stream, but I said, I miss the audience. I miss doing it. I got to do something productive. What's up, Lisa? Oh, that's so great. I'm so glad we watched the holiday anxiety videos. And guys, if you're new to the channel, please give us a check-in with how you're doing, and also just where you're from, what brought you to the channel, how you found us. Because, we want to know. We want to connect. So typically what we do during this live stream is we take questions about specific types of anxiety. We discuss a few different, like topical things that may be going on to, just to be able to know, number one, that you're not alone. And number two, that you're not, that you're not the only one struggling with this stuff, and that it's very, very manageable. Not that it's easy, but it's very manageable. So I'm just trying to finish up while you guys get those comments and questions ready. I'm just trying to finish posting this in a few different places so that we can get cruising. Your therapist at Inner Solutions in Calgary, Alberta. There's another that we're not affiliated with them, Marilee. That's so cool. I'll have to look them up right now. There's another Inner Solutions. Hey, we're Inner Solutions LLC, man. We're a real deal. Oh my, what? There's a bunch of wait a minute. Inner Solution Jobs? Is that us? There's one in North Carolina. Wow, so cool. What's up, Elizabeth? How are you? Guys, yeah, that's so great, Marilee. You're in Canada. So Marilee, what were you seeking out? Oh, that's so great. Yeah, dialectical behavioral therapy. Can you share a little bit more about your experience, Marilee? What did you go in seeking counseling for? And then how has the dialectical behavioral therapy helped you? Guys, if you're not familiar with DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy is it's sort of like an expanded cognitive behavioral therapy. I actually have there's a standard DBT workbook that a lot of therapists who do DBT, practice DBT, use as their guide. And they use that guide as a way to, as a way for people to take it home, work in their workbook regularly. And it's amazing. It's based in mindfulness. It's based in a lot of really beautiful techniques to work with your thought patterns, also work with self-talk, and also just cultivate a really healthy inner environment. Absolutely. So let me get this last group. Nice, 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 nice. So guys, yeah, post those questions, post those stories. How was your Christmas, New Year's? Anybody, and we'd love to know kind of your New Year's resolutions as far as mental health based. And if you need help coming up with those, that's certainly something I can help you come up with. And I kind of wanted to share some of the takeaways I had from a really, really heavy, profound event without getting into too much specifics about it. But I definitely want to share some of the takeaways. You know, during the height of, I was in a quite an anxious state. And during the height of it, I got with my girlfriend and I said, hey, I need to write down this stuff that I'm feeling and I'm feeling right now, because I had such clarity in so many different ways. And guys, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on the music. If you're not digging it, let me know. All right. Marilee says, I had a very painful Christmas, but connected with Donna last week. Mindful, effective. So that's Counselor Donna at a different Inner Solutions, not affiliated with us. So that's so great. Marilee, and thank you so much for coming to the Facebook page. Feel free to check out the YouTube page. Tons of free content on there, as well as we also have a book that we send out for free called The Panic Response Plan if you're struggling with panic attacks. And we also offer free anxiety, first free anxiety coaching session to anybody who is a new viewer. That link you can find in the description. And you just book that and you have a free phone call with us, one of our coaches, myself or Ennis. And what was painful about Christmas? I'd love to know a little bit more about that if you're willing to share. Elizabeth says, hey, it's Elizabeth. Hey, Elizabeth. Just wanted to say I enjoyed talking to you and you have helped my journey a lot. Anyone thinking about calling them, you won't regret it. Thanks so much. Guys, what positive feedback. Inner Solutions is amazing. That's so great, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Lisa asks if I ever heard of the fawn response. You know, the fawn response, from what I know of it, there's a couple different ways that I think the fawn response is used. Number one is the complete avoidance of like the extreme flight response, right? So the extreme runaway. And doing a little search on it, I see that it says it's an immediate kind of concession. It's an immediate concession to try to please a person to avoid a conflict. Is that what you're talking about, Lisa? Let me know. As far as an immediate kind of recession, what's the word I'm looking for? As far as an immediate submission to avoid some kind of conflict, yeah, I mean, that typically can come from being in an environment as a child with an abuser, with someone who was overbearing or narcissistic, or just a really heavy trauma, like a really traumatic experience. And that makes sense if you think about it. It's like you develop this really extreme people pleaser part, this really extreme avoidance of conflict, because you learn that conflict is painful and there's no way for it to resolve in a positive way. So let me know if that's what you're talking about, Lisa, and I'd love to hear how that contextually is relevant to you. Yeah. Mary Lee says, I have severe PTSD. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I learned these skills over the past 7 years and have taught it to my 3 teen sons. All right, let me get the book. Hold on, I'll be 2 seconds. Right here. I'm just grabbing the book. Right here. So I worked through this book myself, and I actually encouraged my mom, who's here, to get the book, just because whether or not you're struggling with something heavy emotionally or not, it's just an amazing exercise and skills to learn. So I just want to quickly go through DBT, some of the paramounts, and I want to do it. I got the book because I want to do it in the proper order. So it starts with distress tolerance skills. So distress tolerance meaning how to kind of distract, soothe, how to calm, really, really heavy emotions. Distress tolerance. Then it goes into basic mindfulness skills. So mindfulness being a way to cultivate awareness, curiosity towards yourself, towards your emotion, to use that information to yeah, just be able to have a better perspective and a more objective perspective of yourself and your emotional world. Then it's emotional regulation. Then it's interpersonal effectiveness. And then it's all about putting it all together. So this book is the industry standard. If you're interested in dialectical behavioral therapy, which is an amazing tool if you're really easily triggered with anxiety, but also just interpersonal stuff. It's by Matthew McKay, who, by the way, Matthew McKay, amazing therapist in the Bay Area, Jeffrey C. Wood and Jeffrey Brantley. Highly would recommend it. And yeah, this will walk you through it. I would recommend you get the workbook and get with a good therapist or coach who can help you work through it. I have worked through that book with clients before. It's really great to do it with support, just so that you make sure you're on the right track, but also that you have somebody encouraging you. Mary Lee says, I was very triggered and on the verge of hospitalization. Wow. All good now. And so, Mary Lee, what, if you don't mind me asking, what was the triggering? What was the triggering related to? On the verge of hospitalization, yeah. I have a question, and if anybody wants to answer, that's cool. If not, no problem. I have a bit of experience with clients who have been in and out of the hospital. The psychiatric ward of a hospital. It's actually a heck of a lot more common than you think it would be. And what I find is that they develop a fear, typically afterwards they go in, and the fear is of going back to the hospital. And when we kind of trace down deeper into what is the fear actually turns into, well, the hospital didn't help me that much. Not that it was like safe, and they found, typically they'll find the right medication cocktail, like the right balance of medication for people. But that I think there was a belief before that if I go to the hospital, I'll be kind of taken care of. And a lot of clients find it triggering that you're surrounded by people struggling with a lot of the same things. It's not super comfortable. There is typically a kind of a solace in that you're surrounded by professionals. There's a little bit of like more of a comfort zone. But I'd be curious to those of you who have been or thought about it. And of course, if you don't feel like divulging that information, no problem. But this is a very safe, open, non-judgmental space. Did you find that? Did you find that after the hospitalization, you were scared of going back because it actually didn't help you necessarily overcome what you were trying to overcome? Or did any of you have experience with people who have mentioned something like that? I'd love to know. Lisa says, holidays were okay, very lonely, missing parents and family dearly. I feel you, Lisa. Did you do anything, Lisa, to try to mitigate some of that? Did you put anything in place so that you could be distracted or had something different to do? Like I said, I did a 12-hour stream on Christmas Eve because I knew I had nothing planned. And then on Christmas Day, I was lucky enough to have my girlfriend come over later in the day. But during Christmas Eve, if I wasn't doing that stream, I think I would have been struggling much harder because it's very different. My body wasn't necessarily used to being alone. Mary Lee says, people pleasing to the nth degree. So we're talking about the fawn response. Lisa says, like when you let other people constantly tell you how you feel in your own life. Total people pleasing, avoided conflict to the point of not really knowing yourself and who you are. Wow. Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. Are you struggling with that, Lisa? Mary Lee, you seem to know something about that. Are you struggling with that as well? A fawn response. I like the name. But I think for me, extreme people pleasing and conflict avoidance means there's a part of you that's just deathly anxious, goes like almost on shutdown autopilot, automatically defer, accept what people are telling you, defer, pivot out of whatever the potential danger is. Definitely a high anxiety moment. Mary Lee says, my doctor yelled at me for an hour. I felt like I was being raped. My goodness. It's very heavy. What do you mean? Are you talking about in the context brought me back to all my trauma? Mary Lee, are you talking about being in the hospital? You know, I worked at a facility where it was pretty clear the lack of resources, the lack of good counselors, and this was a residential treatment facility for teenagers, that a lot of times the kids were kind of being re-traumatized. And that sounds like this big, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. But it sounds like when you think of re-traumatized, what that looks like is being aggressively yelled at, being just brought back to a place, an emotional place within themselves where they had been in trauma. And that's, you know, we didn't have the resources to do much better than that. And it was, you know, unfortunately, a lot of hospitals are for profit. Our company was very much for profit, and we were under-resourced, we were understaffed, we were undertrained, and it was pretty bad. Yeah, there was not a lot of kids who went through that place that you felt like, oh, hey, they're going to be okay. Like once they get out of here, they're going to be fine. There was no post-care. It's another thing with like an intensive outpatient or inpatient program. A lot of times there's not a lot of post-care. They kind of just run you through the program and then you're right back where you were before, hopefully with a hell of a lot more tools, but doesn't always work out like that. So I appreciate you sharing your experience, Mary Lee. I assume that's what you're talking about. Fee says, doctors don't. They tell you maybe this and maybe this, but never an answer. Guys, you know, we talk about this a lot. We are not psychiatrists. We don't prescribe medication, obviously. We don't advise on medication. My experience with medication and the research that I've done is that psychiatric medication is just, it's not an exact science. Not yet. They haven't found the key markers in the brain. They can't, you know, they can do genetic testing to see what medications you'll be resistant to, but what they can't do is track the type of anxiety, the type of depression, or your brain structure, and correlate that with your medication and the dosage and your treatment plan. There's this really cool clinic called the Amen Clinic where they do a lot of brain studying by fMRI. So they just study the structure and shape of your brain, and they advise supplements, and they advise kind of holistic, you know, diet changes and mindfulness-based exercises and lots of different, you know, cognitive therapeutic exercises. Very, very holistic in the fact that it's not medication-based as far as I know. Might be wrong on that, but I had a client go through that. And I did quite a bit of study on Daniel Amen, who's amazing. fMRI, the magnetic I can't think of the name. Functional magnetic something imaging. And you know, that to me is kind of the closest that they're coming to exact precise treatment. You know, when you go in with, you know, a tumor on your liver, there's a really step-by-step protocol and process to remove it, as far as process to you know, do a healthy and proper surgery, etc. But it's important to know with mental health, as far as I know, that it's not an exact science yet. You know, the SSRIs, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, it doesn't seem like they do brain scanning to see, you know, what neurotransmitters you're lacking or whatnot. So it's tricky. It's tricky with medication. My experience with medication, you guys all know, was not very pleasant. Fee says, and I just feel like giving up. Mary Lee says, it's horrific. I was assaulted there. That is a layer I've experienced trauma since the age of 14. Mary Lee says, I don't want to monopolize. Mary Lee, feel free to share, man. Don't worry about monopolizing. We'll let you know if you're overdoing it. Happy to have you here. Happy to have all of you guys here. It's good to be back. Cindy says, to me, doctor medicines are just a bandage. You know, medication use, and you can go on like PubMed and look at the scholarly articles about all this. You know, medications are typically meant for like optimum, maybe a 6-month use, but it's just really case sensitive. It's just really case sensitive. Some people have been on them for years and they're lifesavers. Some people go on them short term, they develop a tolerance. Some people have medication or illness anxiety. Medication anxiety being they're scared of the medication, or they're, it's more along the lines of like a placebo effect or a reverse placebo effect, meaning the medication is making them worse or making them better. And then illness anxiety, which is like, it's kind of the modern day hypochondriosis. They don't call it that anymore. Lisa says, I do struggle with it, talking about the fawn response, which is the extreme version of people pleasing, avoidance of conflict. I will put what I think my beliefs are on the back burner to agree with someone. If I do find myself in a conflict, I will do everything to make sure the other person is okay, and I never stand up for myself. Lisa, man, I would love to have you on the show just to talk about this sometime, because I feel like this is such an extreme version and such an extreme thing that must have such a ripple effect in other ways. Lisa, do you struggle with general anxiety? Do you struggle with, a lot of the symptoms, the depersonalization or derealization? And furthermore, have you been in a conflict where you did stand up for yourself? Have you been in a conflict have you been in a conflict? And what was the experience like? With that extreme people pleasing, with that fawn response. It's wild. Cindy says, I would love to find a holistic care clinic to balance out. There's holistic care clinics out there, definitely. Absolutely. Mary Lee, would love to hear more about just your experience. So you've been going to therapy, you've been doing the DBT, you're teaching it to your, would love to know more about your experience. Yeah, there are holistic care clinics. Sometimes, there's everything from just holistic coaching, emotional intelligence coaching, emotional awareness coaching, CBT coaching, DBT coaching, IFS coaching, the mental health coaching like we do, which is we work very similar to therapists and traditional counselors, except we're not licensed. We're not licensed for a reason. We're not licensed because of the restrictions that a license puts on us. But there's also clinics that specialize in all that stuff, and they have like acupuncture, they have aromatherapy, they have deep tissue massage. The body, mind, spirit connection, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. It's a non-religious, it's a secular thing, but the combination of the three works synergistically. And so for some people, using the physical as a platform to help the emotional and the spiritual, or the mental as a platform to help the physical. You've heard of people with psychosomatic pain, or when we do kind of deeper inner work with people and they have tension or some kind of chronic pain, a lot of times we'll find that when they focus on it, they can move it. When they focus on it, they'll see really vivid imagery. If they go get a deep tissue massage on a certain place in their body, they'll get very, very emotional. Almost like there's something stuck in there, because there is. Your past leaves an emotional signature on you. In your nervous system, in your muscular system, it can leave, in many different ways. And so if you're suffering from chronic pain or some kind of chronic illness, chances are it could be based in something emotionally that's happened to you. We have clients all the time who, one comes to mind in particular, who had just really bad shoulder pain when she would get anxious. And then when we did some research, we found that she'd had some physical trauma in her shoulder. And so that's where when she would have the pain, that's what would get sore, painful. Cold notes, Mary Lee says, was the fifth daughter of a pastor. My job was to be the good girl. Married an abusive man, and he tried to burn our house down 6 years ago. I've used DBT to manage so many life circumstances. I'm on a great path now, studying law. Good for you, Mary Lee. Lots of love. What was the relationship with your parents like, Mary Lee, if you're willing to share? your job was to be the good girl? Did you have a lot of pressure on you to act a certain way? I mean, it says you're a daughter of a pastor. Was it pressure that was kind of explicitly told to you by your parents, or was it kind of implicit by your parents, by the community, by the example around you? Was it chronically stressful? I'm interested to know all that. It's heavy. Lisa says, I do have general anxiety disorder and struggle with all of it for years. I was able to control it and get by for years, but it's been really bad lately. Lisa, when did it start getting really bad? Lisa says, I've been in conflicts a lot in my profession and backed down every time. Once I tried to stand up for myself and it backfired. What's your profession, Lisa? And can you talk a little bit more about, how it backfired? In your profession. And do you find a difference between conflict in your profession and conflict in your personal life? So guys, I want to share, this was the height, I don't want to say, well, maybe not the height of being in an anxious state, an extreme personal situation happened, which triggered a very, very deep and heavy anxiety. And what I found was a lot of the lessons that I was learning in kind of having faith in that things are going to be okay, and having faith in myself that I'd be able to manage. These were some really beautiful universal laws. And I wanted to share them and see if you guys have some universal laws you could share too. So they're kind of 10 rules that I found. Number 1 was stop being a tough guy, meaning I need to ask for much, much more help. And again, these are the pressure that comes from not asking for help is not only reinforces of being alone, reinforces like suffering in silence, but also reinforces that you have to carry the weight and the burden of what's going on. So that was the first thing, is I need to ask for much, much, much more help, and that it's okay to ask for much more help. Number 2 was I had to let go of trying to control everything, meaning I had to trust. I had to trust others. I had to trust, the universe, God, whatever. And I had to trust myself that everything was going to be okay, and that I just wouldn't be able to control it all. Number 3, I had to be proactive, meaning when I had kind of an intuitive thought or direction, I had to act on it and not just wait and be reactive. And again, guys, please give me your feedback in the chat if you feel like there's laws that you kind of live by that have helped with your anxiety. Please share them with us. But again, being reactive and not being proactive, it's the difference between being assertive and being passive. Assertive is not aggressive. We talk about this a lot. Assertive is putting out there what you want. You have a thought, you have a feeling, you put it out there, you ask about it. You not take control of the situation, but you move in a direction with intention in a situation. Number 5, and this was a big one for me, and this is one that surrounds a little bit of shame for me. One of the lessons was be much more intentional about my environment, the cultures I'm around, the people I'm around, the media I let in. I realized that I am somewhat easily influenced by my environment. And this has caused trouble for me. It's caused a lot of trouble. It's caused me to feel ungrounded. It's caused me to feel not so clear about who I am or how to be authentic. Let me get to the next 5. Let me read some of these comments here. Lisa says, doesn't matter about her avoidance of conflict. Personal life too. Never stand up for myself. Cindy says me too. What's up, Dawn? What's up, Donnie? I know we started. So guys, we are going to start doing this new time at 6:30 Central Time. And that's so I can get to a class because I am always learning. But that's the plan moving forward. If something changes, we'll let you guys know. But welcome back, Dawn. How are you, darling? How were your holidays? Lisa says, I'm an educator and get blamed for a lot. Can you talk about the backfire, Lisa? You said there was a professional instance where you did stick up for yourself and it backfired. And Mary Lee says, above all else, to thy own self be true. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Number 6, and this is one we talk about. I have to deal with myself before I try to deal with others. Meaning I have to secure my oxygen mask before I secure somebody else's. Meaning I have to make sure that I'm functioning and have food in my stomach before I give food to others. Meaning I'm no good to other people if I'm not taken care of. And really meaning, especially as a coach, that if I can't deal with kind of my own issues and find my own balance and make peace in my own life. What's up, Carmen? Welcome, welcome. If I can't make peace in my own life, I can't expect myself to make peace or to assist in others finding peace in their journey during my life. Absolutely. Number 7, stop learning the hard way. This coincides with being proactive. Stop learning the hard way. Sometimes you're going to have to learn the hard way. That's how we learn. Sometimes things hurt and we learn lessons from it. But for me, it was be less stubborn and listen, pay attention. Number 8, respect boundaries, do the right thing. Meaning don't do the easy thing, do the right thing. This was really reinforced during my situation. And again, guys, please tell me what you think about this list. And feel free to share your own list. Maybe some stuff you've learned during hard times. This is very vibey with this music. Yeah. Number 9 was admit when I don't know. When I don't know something, just say, I really don't know. That sounds kind of dumb. That may seem really intuitive to some of you who maybe are a little less hard-headed than me. But yeah, admit when I don't know. And number 10, follow through. Follow through. Say something, you want to do something, do it. Follow through. So that was my list that I wrote down at kind of the height of an anxiety-inducing situation. It was hard. It was really hard. All right, Mary Lee, thank you so much. And we'll be back. Yep. And it should be back next week as well, whether remotely or in the same studio. Good luck with everything, and good luck with the DBT. You know, a lot of times when people are struggling with panic attacks in particular, it's feeling like you're gonna die. It's kind of a catastrophization of the mind based on the perceived malfunction of the body. And this happens all the time with anxiety, whether it's, Lisa talking about avoiding conflict. And the question is always, what are you scared would happen if? What are you scared would happen if you stood up for yourself? What are you scared would happen if you just said what was on your mind? What are you scared would happen if you left this relationship? What are you scared would happen if you left this city? And typically the baseline response is, I'm scared things will be worse than they are right now. No matter how bad my situation is right now, I'm scared it can get worse. Anxiety is that future predictor. Even during the panic attack, I'm dying. I'm dying. Think about that. I'm dying. Panic attacks will not kill you. They will not make you lose control. And they will not make you lose your mind. But it sure can feel that way. Being wrong and never good enough. Being wrong. You know, science was wrong. Science is always wrong. Science is, you know, religion were sciences that got kind of overruled certain religions. Science has overruled science consistently. So being wrong is super relative. Cindy says, I'm to learn that a fear is just a thought. How I react to it is the outcome. Yeah, fear is just a thought. And we have rational fears and irrational fears, right? The fear of a hot stove and placing your hand on it, that's decently rational fear. It's not the end of the world. The problem is when that thought is tethered to the emotion, that's when you feel such heavy anxiety, when it's so overwhelming. You know, during this last episode I was just hijacked. I mean, my thoughts were ruminating and I was applying all my techniques, and there's a part of this that just needs to happen. Sometimes it's almost like a detox. You're grieving or you're feeling or you're scared, and it's like that fear has to come up and come out. So be present with it. Reach out for help. Don't avoid it. Get through it, but be present with it and try to mitigate how much suffering there is. The resistance is the worst part of the anxiety. Go inward with it. Boy, I had to really put my money where my mouth was. And it was a sobering reminder of what a lot of people we talk to are going through, because I'm lucky enough to have had a period of that and worked through it, worked my ass off to get through it, worked really hard, just like we encourage clients to. And guys, if you're struggling, click on that link below, schedule that free call. Be proactive. Rule number 3. And rule number 1, don't be a tough guy or girl. Ask for help. It's what got me through. I was so lucky to have a team of mentors and friends and teach me, nurture me. But just remember that you're not your thoughts. You're not your body. You're not the feelings. It's just, you've got a whole city here. You've got all these parts of your personality, including these scared, anxious parts, but you at your core are so calm, confident, centered, strong, accepting, loving, pure, non-judgmental. All of us, you, Lisa, Cindy, Dawn, everybody here, Mary Lee, Elizabeth, Lisa. I said Lisa already. All of you at your core are very, very... And Lisa, I sense this such a fear of judgment and anxiety behind being judged. And sometimes you got to do some exposure with it. There's threats in life. There's danger. There's no getting around it. The reaction, like Cindy is saying, the reaction towards the danger, the reaction towards the perceived threat is what will change everything. And you can show emotions on the outside. You can show, I can't even call it weakness because it's not weakness. You can just show the pure version of you. And if you're rejected, if you're judged, if you're whatever, this is what this kind of perception is what is so unnurturing about certain work environments. If you're surrounded by judgmental, cynical, negative-minded, critical, overly critical people, it's probably not the environment for you. That you're just reinforcing the pain and the feedback loop there. But you are so powerful. You have so much power in what you can do about it. Cindy says, yes, heavy anxiety for sure. Emotions stop me big time. You know, sometimes the emotion is just the triggering. So there's a stimuli, an event. Maybe somebody says something to you. Maybe there's a phobia, fear. You see something that triggers a feeling. Happened to me today in the grocery store. You have a feeling. Sometimes it's a strong feeling. A part of you comes forward. Maybe it's an anxious part. Maybe it's an angry part. Maybe it's a sad part. Maybe, but you feel like the sting. You feel the drop where you're just la 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 ba 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 ba. And then you can't get out of it, right? So then the self-judgment starts. What's wrong with me? Are people looking at me? Does my girlfriend know I'm mad? What's happening? And then you just, you know, then it's a choose your own adventure book, right? So do I talk about it? Do I just suffer in silence? Do I put on a happy face? Thoughts are ruminating. Feedback loop is going. We got some comments on YouTube. Good old Ennis is watching. He says, an amazing quote that someone sent to me recently. Neglecting yourself to take care of someone else may seem like an act of love, but giving from a place of emptiness only leads to resentment. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, why do we feel like we can't show emotions on the outside? Lisa says, it goes even way back. After watching my dad have a heart attack at age 12 and crying so hard I got sick and was told to soldier on and stop it, it's extremely hard to show emotion now. Of course. Hey, man, no one's saying it's easy. But what we're saying is you're definitely not stuck. Cindy says, my fears stop me from moving forward or being happy, as my therapist says. I mean, Cindy, what types of fears are you talking about? And moving forward in what direction? We end every video with saying it. No matter how long you've been struggling, no matter how intense it feels, no matter how bad it is, you're never stuck. You might just need some support, or the right type of support. You know, for me, I've had anxiety so bad I didn't want to go on. I didn't see any way of. It felt like I had to burn everything I'd worked towards. It almost felt like a cruel joke. Like I'd built up this life and it was being taken away from me, and it almost felt like this existential irony of like, oh man, I can't go on. I can't do this. Really painful. But in the end, if you just sit with it and wait and apply good techniques, that heaviness will go away. That heaviness will process through. It'll run through. It's almost like there's a bolt of lightning that hits an electrical transformer, and it's just, and eventually the electricity is circulating. Sometimes it feels so heavy you can't function and you're shut down. It gives you terrible physical symptoms. But eventually it'll get better with tools, with CBT, with internal family systems, with a good coach or therapist. But you got to get motivated and you got to get committed. So working through it holistically, it can be easy for some people, but sometimes it's not. When you have a history like Lisa's, and Lisa's been coming to these streams for a long time, and you see at 12 years old being told to stop it, stop crying, soldier on. It's easier said than done. And it leaves an imprint. And so, Lisa, we need to go back, help that 12-year-old. Let her know as an adult today, connect with her and say, that wasn't right of them. And you can release some of your sadness through me. And also you can let go of the burden that there's probably another part of you that cuts off your emotions, says we can't show this, and help them let go of that burden and say, it's okay to show emotion. It's not only okay, it's healthy. Cindy says, all this has come on since my son's death after my accident. I try, and I panic. Cindy, maybe part of it is there's a line of grieving that hasn't happened, even though you probably feel like you've been grieving and crying and you're painful. But that maybe there's a part of you that's just feels so wounded, so traumatized, so something that it just can't process. Either way, guys, we're here for you. 100%. We created this company because we struggled for a long, long time. So please, don't hesitate in asking for help, no matter what it might be. Cindy, have you read the panic response plan and applied the techniques? They work. They work. So guys, we're gonna call it for tonight. This is the first stream back. So pumped. We are back next week at 6:30 Central Time here on Facebook. If you know somebody who's struggling with anxiety or thinks this content or information will be useful, please bring them to our Facebook page or our YouTube page. If you guys like this stream, or on YouTube, if you guys like it, please click the thumbs up button or subscribe to the page. Again, we're trying to create this business. Well, we're creating this business, and we're expanding like crazy because we want to help as many people as possible. And it's, again, coming from two guys who struggled for a long time and who still have their struggles, but are able to keep it at bay holistically without medication, no judgment, but able to unstick themselves and really want to work. We're working hard on destigmatizing mental health. We're going to be doing some exciting live events coming up. Really cool new kind of guerrilla coaching ideas. So lots of love to you guys, and click those like button, subscribe button if you like it. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel for some new content always coming up. We got some great interviews coming up, as well as more videos about different types of anxiety and other mental health ailments. I'm Jim. I assume next week Ennis will be back, but if not, I'll be back. Lots of love, guys. Thank you so much, and you're never stuck. Just remember that. No matter how long it's been, no matter how many people you've seen, find the right person, find the right technique, the right combination for you, and I promise you, you can live a life full of joy, freedom, and inner peace. I'm Jim. Thank you guys so much.